Before we start, if you want to understand money, economics, and the hidden systems that control wealth in simple language, make sure you subscribe to Capital Explained, because on this channel, we don't just talk about money, we explain how the world of capital really works. Today we are going to discuss one of the toughest ideas in economics. This is not a conversation about becoming wealthy, because earning money is often not the biggest challenge. The real difficulty is understanding why many people struggle to escape poverty even when they work hard. Most people assume poverty simply means having less money. In reality, poverty works more like a force that keeps pulling people backward. It behaves almost like gravity. The harder you try to move upward without enough momentum, the easier it is to fall back again. Poverty becomes a cycle that continuously drains energy, confidence, and opportunity. Imagine a spacecraft trying to leave Earth. To enter space, it must reach a critical speed called escape velocity. If it falls even slightly short, all the effort and fuel used do not matter. Gravity pulls it back down. Financial life works in a similar way. Many people put in effort, save small amounts, and begin improving their situation. But unexpected expenses such as medical problems, repairs, or rising living costs suddenly appear and push them back to where they started. This explains why working slightly harder does not always change financial outcomes. Small improvements often cannot overcome the strong pressures created by limited income and rising expenses. Escaping poverty usually requires a significant shift rather than gradual effort alone. Another harsh reality is that living with less money often costs more in the long run. People with limited savings cannot buy products in bulk or invest in higher quality items. As a result, they repeatedly spend money replacing cheaper goods. Delaying healthcare or maintenance also turns small problems into expensive ones later. Over time, the total cost becomes higher than what wealthier individuals pay. Financial systems also increase the burden through penalties like late payment charges, overdraft fees, and higher interest rates. Because of this, people with fewer resources often move forward while carrying extra financial weight, while those with capital benefit from stability and lower costs. Poverty also affects the mind. Constant financial stress forces the brain into survival mode. When someone is worried about immediate bills or daily expenses, long-term planning becomes difficult. Decision-making becomes short-term and reactive rather than strategic. This creates a repeating loop. Limited income causes stress. Stress leads to rushed decisions. Those decisions prevent asset building, and without assets, income remains low. Breaking this cycle starts with stability, not wealth. The first important step is creating a small safety cushion. Emergency savings set aside only for unexpected situations. Even a modest buffer can prevent minor problems from becoming financial crises. More importantly, it reduces mental pressure and allows clearer thinking. Another challenge many people face is emotional spending. When life feels stressful or unfair, buying something new can provide temporary happiness. The brain releases dopamine, creating a short feeling of success or relief. However, that feeling disappears quickly, while the financial consequences remain much longer. In such situations, spending becomes a way to escape stress rather than a real need. Financially successful individuals usually treat money differently, not as a tool for instant pleasure, but as a resource that creates long-term freedom. To change this pattern, a period of strict financial discipline can help. Reducing unnecessary expenses for some time allows habits to reset. Gradually, satisfaction shifts from consumption towards saving and progress. When emotional dependence on spending decreases, financial control begins to grow. There is also a major limitation in relying only on hourly work. Many people believe earning more simply means working longer hours, but time is limited, and income connected only to time eventually reaches a maximum limit. Meanwhile, living costs continue to rise due to inflation, slowly reducing purchasing power. Because of this, long-term improvement often comes from increasing value rather than increasing working hours. Developing multiple complementary skills can open opportunities that are not restricted by time alone. Combining abilities makes a person more adaptable and valuable in the market. Escaping poverty is therefore not about luck or a single breakthrough. It involves building financial stability, controlling short-term impulses, and developing skills that create growing opportunities. Once enough momentum is built, the pressure that once held a person down becomes weaker, and real upward movement finally becomes possible. If you are working as a construction laborer, try learning sales skills. The moment you understand how to communicate with clients and close deals, you are no longer just someone doing physical work. You become a contractor who brings business as well as execution. Your value immediately increases. If you are a waiter in a restaurant, learning skills like marketing or copywriting can completely change your position. Instead of only serving food, you can help design menus, promote profitable dishes, or improve customer experience in ways that increase revenue. The goal is simple. Do not depend on only one ability. Become someone who carries multiple strengths at the same time. In today's economy, people who combine skills become far more valuable than those who rely on a single talent. When you build a strong mix of abilities, your income slowly disconnects from the number of hours you work. You become difficult to replace. At that point, you are no longer treated like cheap labor. You become an asset. The market does not reward effort alone. It rewards uniqueness and usefulness. If your job can easily be done by anyone with minimal training, or eventually by machines, your earning potential will always remain limited. That is why building a personal competitive advantage is essential. Your protection in the marketplace is your skill stack, a combination of capabilities that makes you rare. Now let us move to the fourth loop, which is often the most difficult obstacle to overcome. This is what I call social gravity. There is a well-known idea that a person eventually becomes similar to the people they spend the most time with. If the people around you constantly struggle financially, chances are high that you will remain in the same situation. If your environment is filled with negativity, complaints, and lack of ambition, those attitudes slowly become normal to you. Human beings naturally imitate their surroundings. Our brains contain mirror neurons that subconsciously copy behavior, thinking patterns, language, and expectations from the people around us. Because of this, environment silently shapes destiny. When someone tries to improve their life while remaining surrounded by people who have accepted limitation as permanent, progress becomes extremely difficult. This situation is often compared to the crab bucket effect. A single crab placed in a bucket may escape easily, but when several crabs are together, any crab trying to climb out gets pulled back down by the others. This behavior is rarely driven by hatred. Instead, change makes others uncomfortable. Your growth reminds them of opportunities they are not pursuing. So when you begin saving money, learning new skills, or changing habits, some people may criticize you rather than support you. They may tell you to relax, stop trying so hard, or claim that success is impossible anyway. That resistance is social gravity pulling you back. In many cases, poverty becomes more than a financial condition. It becomes a shared mindset. Stories like "nothing will change," "the system is unfair," or "success is only luck" can feel comforting because they remove responsibility. However, they also quietly prevent progress. Breaking this loop requires protecting your mental environment. This does not mean abandoning family or disrespecting old friends. It simply means being careful about what influences your thinking every day. Constant exposure to negativity drains motivation and focus. Fortunately, we live in a time where physical surroundings are no longer the only source of influence. Through books, interviews, podcasts, and online learning, you can learn directly from some of the greatest thinkers and achievers in history. By studying successful individuals, you begin absorbing their decision-making patterns and perspectives. In a sense, you are choosing new mentors even if you never meet them personally. Your mindset gradually becomes shaped by the ideas you consume rather than the limitations around you. This is how people mentally escape the boundaries of their environment before they physically escape them. Now we arrive at the fifth and final loop, the true engine behind wealth creation. This is what can be called the power of compounding. Albert Einstein once described compound interest as one of the most powerful forces in the world. Those who understand it benefit from it, while those who ignore it end up paying for it. Many people stuck in financial struggle experience compounding in the worst possible way. High interest credit cards, loans, and debt continuously grow over time. Even when no new spending happens, interest keeps increasing the burden. It feels like rowing against a strong current that never slows down. On the other hand, wealthy individuals place themselves on the opposite side of compounding. Their money is invested in businesses, markets, or assets that grow gradually over years. While they sleep, their investments continue working. Small gains accumulate and eventually turn into significant wealth through consistency. If someone wants to move out of financial struggle, the goal must be to shift from paying interest to earning interest. This transition usually happens in 3 stages. Stage 1, survival. At this stage, the focus is stopping financial damage. Expenses are reduced to essentials, and high-interest debt becomes the top priority. Eliminating expensive debt is like removing a leak from a sinking boat. Stage 2. Accumulation. Once stability improves, the next step is consistently buying productive assets. This does not mean luxury purchases or status symbols. It means investments that can grow over time. Even small daily investments done regularly begin forming a financial snowball. At first, progress may appear slow, almost insignificant, but consistency allows mathematics to work in your favor. Stage 3. Freedom. Eventually, assets start producing enough income to cover basic living expenses. This is the financial equivalent of escape velocity. At this moment, survival no longer depends entirely on selling your time. Choices expand, pressure reduces, and true independence begins. So let us summarize the entire poverty cycle. We discussed the scarcity pressure that drains mental energy. We explored the dopamine trap that encourages emotional spending. We examined the linear income model that limits earnings. We understood social gravity that pulls people back through environment. And finally, we looked at compounding, the force that can either trap or liberate a person financially. These forces act like chains, but most of them are strengthened by mindset and habits. The opportunity to move forward often exists, yet fear, comfort, and social pressure keep many people from stepping out. The path is not easy, but the principles are clear. Once you understand how these forces work, you gain direction, and with patience, discipline, and courage, escaping financial gravity becomes possible. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.